Before we dig into the 5-step process to use the active imagination and Nikola Tesla's vision creation system, here's a brief word from some important voices on the subject of the mind, especially dreams, visions, and active imagination. To the great poet, classicist, and philologist Friedrich Myers, a genius was someone who had the subliminal on tap. Immanuel Kant noted that recalling the past occurs only with the intention of making it possible to foresee the future. The White Queen in Lewis Carroll's Through the Looking Glass astutely observed, "It's a poor sort of memory that only works backwards." Evolutionary psychologist Thomas Suddendorf said, "It is accurate prediction of the future, more so than accurate memory of the past, per se, that conveys adaptive advantage." This is why prophets, shamans, wizards, and seers were so valuable to tribes and kingdoms of the past. They were able to gain access to the subliminal, which contains, in theory, superior information that helped in creative problem-solving, decision-making, storytelling, and even some form of prediction. Jung said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." Hence the importance of mastering your unconscious using active imagination, dreams, visions. With that in mind, let's try it out. This is the 5-step process to use active imagination. Step 1. Find focus. When you start meditating, your mind is usually active and kind of bouncy. You must first manage to get a hold of your attention. As your mind relaxes, you'll become aware of your mind's eye, which is watching the whirling chaos of your thoughts. This eye is the conscious mind. The tool we'll use for step number 2 is focus on the dream. When your mind is calm and you're feeling mindful and all that, guide your attention to an image from a recent dream you've chosen. Keep your attention on the dream for as long as you can, within reason, of course. You'll probably slip back into thinking about other stuff, but when that happens, don't get frustrated. It's totally natural. Just bring your attention back to the dream and press on. Step 3 is allow your unconscious mind to speak. When you focus on that dream image, you're gazing into the depths of your unconscious mind. To listen to the message your unconscious self is trying to communicate to you, let the unconscious speak through the image. And through dream and unfolding waking dream, that begins to play out. Loosen your focus and allow the unconscious to bring the dream image to life. Don't loosen your focus too much, just enough to press play, and let the dream unfold before your mind's eye. In this process, you may observe the dream, watching it play out further than it originally did during the night, or you may start speaking to a character in the dream. It can get weird, and it can get dark and even nightmarish. The unconscious contains what Jung calls the abyss, and many things you may not want to see. But do your best to accept what your mind is showing you and continue forward despite the fear or strangeness of it. Do your best to remember what you see and experience, and as clearly as possible because you'll soon need to record it. Carl Jung said, "There's no coming to consciousness without pain. People will do anything, no matter how absurd, in order to avoid facing their own soul. One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." Step number 4 is to record your dream. To record your dream, use the best of your memory. You can write it out on paper, draw it, paint it, sculpt it, describe the details on your laptop, or dictate the dream on your phone. And that brings us to the final step, which is analyze it. At this point, it's probably a good idea to take a break, though. Let your mind drift back fully into the natural waking state, the ego, the realm of the conscious, whatever you want to call it. When you feel you've had enough time apart from the dream and feel you're ready to analyze it, return and search for the gold you've dredged up from the waters of the unconscious. You're searching for a message from yourself, your soul. In this process, it helps to know what animals, things, and symbols represent which archetypes and what those archetypes represent. It also helps to interpret the contents of your dream in a very personal manner. For example, while a fish may be, in many cases, a symbol of Christ, Logos, or something like that, to me, because I'm an avid angler and lover of fish, it could also mean a wide variety of other very personal things. A salmon, carp, or koi, for example, could easily symbolize strength and persistence for me, because that's what I associate them with. And a tarpon or marlin could be very much like a holy grail, since for me, they're kind of a holy grail of a fish to catch. To learn more about dream interpretation, there are plenty of great books out there, but far more that are complete garbage, at least in my experience. I'd recommend starting with Carl Jung's Man and His Symbols and Jungian Dream Interpretation by James Hall. I won't go into any detail on dream analysis beyond that, at least not in this video, because we still have Tesla's version of active imagination. Here's what he said about the process. Here, in brief, is my own method. After experiencing a desire to invent a particular thing, I may go on for months or years with the idea in the back of my head. Whenever I feel like it, I roam around in my imagination and think about the problem without any deliberate concentration. This is a period of incubation. Then follows a period of direct effort. I choose carefully the possible solutions of the problem I'm considering, and gradually center my mind on a narrowed field of investigation. Now, when I am deliberately thinking of the problem in its specific features, I may begin to feel that I am going to get the solution. And the wonderful thing is that if I do feel this way, then I know I have really solved the problem and shall get what I am after. The feeling is as convincing to me as though I already had solved it. I have come to the conclusion that at this stage the actual solution is in my mind subconsciously, though it may be a long time before I am aware of it consciously. Before I put a sketch on paper, the whole idea is worked out mentally. In my mind, I change the construction, make improvements, and even operate the device. Without ever having drawn a sketch, I can give the measurements of all parts to workmen, and when completed, all those parts will fit, just as certainly as though I had made the actual drawings. It is immaterial to me whether I run my machine in my mind or test it in my shop. The inventions I have conceived in this way have always worked. In 30 years, there has not been a single exception. My first electric motor, the vacuum tube wireless light, my turbine engine, and many other devices have all been developed in exactly this way. And that's it. That's the 5-step process to use of active imagination and Nikola Tesla's own personal version of active imagination.